Season 11 is changing everything you know about itemization. Tempering is no longer random. Masterworking got completely reworked. And Sanctification? It's the ultimate gamble that can give you the most broken item you've ever seen, or delete it forever. Today I'm breaking down the entire new itemization system so you're not wasting materials when Season 11 drops. The big picture. What's changing? Blizzard just dropped the biggest itemization overhaul since Loot 2.0 in Season 4. They listened to the community and they're fixing the biggest pain points we've been complaining about for months. Here's what's changing. Tempering is no longer RNG. You pick exactly which affix you want. No more bricking items because you couldn't hit the right roll. Masterworking no longer boosts your affix values. Instead, it increases something called quality, which improves your base damage, armor, or resistances. And then there's Sanctification, the brand new system that's basically the final boss of item upgrading. Season 11 is moving itemization in a completely new direction. Less RNG frustration on tempering and masterworking, but way more gambling at the end with Sanctification. Items now drop with 4 base affixes instead of 3. Your item journey is longer, more controlled, but the final step is pure chaos. Today, I'm walking you through the entire new system step by step. Tempering, masterworking, sanctification, how they all work together, and what you need to know to not waste your time and materials. Let's dive in. Tempering 2.0. No more random rolls. The biggest change to tempering is simple. It's no longer random. You can now choose exactly which affix you want from your tempering manual. No more praying to RNG gods hoping you hit the right roll. Here's how it works. You go to the blacksmith with your item and a tempering manual. The manual shows you a list of 3 to 4 affixes. You pick the one you want. Boom. It's applied. No randomness, no gambling. You get what you choose. But here's the catch. Items can now only have 1 tempered affix instead of 2. In Season 10, you could double temper gear and stack bonuses. That's gone. Season 11 limits you to 1 temper per item. To compensate, non-unique items now drop with 4 base affixes instead of 3. So you're getting more base power but less temper flexibility. Tempering charges can be restored infinitely. This is huge. In the old system, you had 5 temper attempts, and if you bricked your item, it was done. Now you can change your temper as many times as you want as long as you have the materials. You can't brick items with tempering anymore. If you don't like your temper choice, just reset it and pick something else. What this means for your builds. You have way more control now. You can experiment with different tempers without fear of ruining your gear. You can optimize 1 perfect affix instead of hoping for 2 good ones. But you also lose the double temper synergies that made some builds insane in Season 10. Cooldown heavy rogues, resource hungry necros, builds that relied on stacking specific stats, these all take a hit. The trade-off is clear: more control, less power ceiling from tempers, but honestly, not having to deal with tempering RNG anymore is worth it. Masterworking 2.0. Quality over affixes. Masterworking got completely reworked, and it's way different now. It no longer boosts your affix values. Instead, it increases a new stat called quality. Here's the new system. Quality improves the base damage, armor, or resistance of your item. Every masterwork level adds a random 2 to 5 quality points. You can masterwork an item up to quality 20, which is the maximum. Let me break this down with an example. Let's say you have a weapon with 1000 base damage. You masterwork it once, it randomly adds 3 quality. That's a 3% increase to your base damage. Now your weapon has 1030 damage. You masterwork it again, it adds 5 quality this time, another 5%. Now you're at 1080 damage. You keep going until you hit quality 20, which is a total 20% increase to your base weapon damage. The same applies to armor and resistances on armor pieces. Higher quality means higher base defenses. This is different from the old system where masterworking boosted your affix values. Now it's all about the base item itself getting stronger. Once you hit quality 20, you unlock the capstone masterwork. This is the big one. The capstone takes 1 random non-greater affix on your item and upgrades it into a greater affix. Greater affixes are massively stronger. We're talking about something like 8% golem damage turning into 148% golem damage. The scaling is insane, but here's the problem. Which affix gets upgraded to a greater affix is completely random. You can't control it. So even if you have a perfect item with 4 great affixes, the capstone might hit the wrong one. Let's say you want your critical strike damage to become a greater affix, but the capstone hits your life on kill instead. That sucks. The good news is you can re-roll the capstone without resetting your quality. In the old system, if you didn't like your masterwork rolls, you had to completely reset the item and start from 0. Now you keep your quality 20 and you just pay Obdicite and Neat Hyron to re-roll. Which affix becomes the greater affix? You're still gambling, but at least you're not losing all your progress. Neat Hyron is a returning material from earlier seasons. You'll get it from endgame activities. Obdicite you already know, it's from nightmare dungeons and other content. You're going to need a lot of both to keep re-rolling capstones until you hit the right affix. What this means for your builds: Masterworking is now more about making your base items stronger rather than juicing specific affixes. You're chasing that perfect greater affix roll at the end, but everything before that is just building up quality. It's less RNG than before because you don't have to reset everything, but it's still a gamble at the capstone stage. Sanctification, the final gamble. Sanctification is the new endgame crafting system in Season 11, and it's absolutely wild. This is the final step in your item's journey. Once you sanctify an item, it becomes unmodifiable. You can't temper it, you can't masterwork it, you can't enchant it. The only thing you can change is the gem in the socket. That's it. Here's how it works. You take your fully upgraded item, you've tempered it, masterworked it to quality 20, hit your capstone, and now you're ready for sanctification. You go to the Heavenly Forge in Kyovashad. There's an angel named Haradriel there. You talk to him, slot in your item, burn a heavenly sigil, and roll the dice. Sanctification can do one of several things. It can add a second legendary aspect to your item. Yes, 2 aspects on one item. It can upgrade one of your affixes into a greater affix. It can add a completely new sanctified affix from a special pool of powerful stats. Or it can brick your item entirely, deleting it forever. Let me say that again. Sanctification can permanently delete your item. If you sanctify a weapon and it bricks, that weapon is gone. You can't get it back. It's not in your stash. It's not salvaged for materials. It's just gone, deleted from existence. This is why sanctification should always be the absolute last thing you do to an item. Make sure your item is perfect before you sanctify it. Make sure you have a backup copy of that item if possible, because if it bricks, you're starting over from scratch. Now, when sanctification works, it's incredibly powerful. Imagine getting a second aspect on your grandfather. Imagine turning another affix into a greater affix on top of your capstone greater affix. Imagine getting a sanctified affix that multiplies your damage by 50%. The ceiling is insane, but the risk is equally insane. How do you get heavenly sigils? You farm them from Season 11 bosses. Bartok, Astaroth, and the new exalted lair boss Belial all drop heavenly sigils. There's also a small chance to get them from Belial ambush encounters, pit runs with Belial, elite monsters in torment difficulty, and nightmare bosses. They're rare, so you're not going to be sanctifying every item you find. You have to be selective. There's also a mechanic where after defeating a lesser evil in certain game modes like Helltide, you might get a divine invitation. This gives you a rare chance to sanctify one item at the Heavenly Anvil right then and there. If you don't use it, the invitation disappears. You won't get another chance until you get another invitation. So if you're not ready to sanctify, you're passing up the opportunity. What this means for your builds: sanctification is endgame min-maxing for players who want to push the absolute limit. If you're casual and you just want to clear content comfortably, you probably don't need to sanctify. But if you're pushing pit 150, competing on leaderboards, trying to squeeze every bit of power out of your gear, sanctification is mandatory. Just be ready to lose some items along the way. The new item journey step by step. Let's walk through the entire item journey in Season 11 from start to finish, so you know exactly what to do. Step 1. Find the item. Non-unique items now drop with 4 base affixes. Look for items that have 3 or 4 good affixes that fit your build. If an item has 2 good affixes and 2 bad ones, you can enchant 1 bad affix at the occultist to try and get a 3rd good one. Step 2. Temper the item. Go to the blacksmith. Pick 1 tempering manual that fits your build. Choose the exact affix you want from that manual. Apply it to your item. If you change your mind later, you can reset the temper and pick a different one. No risk of bricking here. Step 3. Masterwork the item. Start masterworking your item up to quality 20. Each level adds 2 to 5 quality randomly. Your base damage, armor, or resistances are going up with every level. Once you hit quality 20, you're ready for the capstone. Step 4. Roll the capstone. This upgrades 1 random non-greater affix into a greater affix. If it hits the wrong affix, you can re-roll it by spending Obdicite and Neat Hiron. Keep re-rolling until you hit the affix you want as a greater affix. This might take a few tries, but your quality stays at 20. So you're not starting over. Step 5. Sanctify the item. This is optional, but if you want maximum power, this is the final step. Make sure your item is absolutely perfect before you do this. Temper is good. Masterwork quality is 20. Capstone hit the right affix. Now you're ready. Go to the Heavenly Forge, burn a heavenly sigil, pray to RNG. Hope it doesn't brick. If it works, you just got one of the most powerful items in the game. That's the full journey. Find, enchant if needed, temper, masterwork, capstone, sanctify. Each step has less RNG than before, except for sanctification, which is pure chaos, but that's the trade-off. You have more control over the process, but the final gamble is riskier than anything we've seen before. Tips and strategies for Season 11. Here are some practical tips to help you navigate the new itemization system without wasting materials. Tip 1. Don't sanctify your first good item. Wait until you have backups. If you get a great weapon, farm another copy of it before you sanctify the first one. That way, if it bricks, you're not completely screwed. This is especially important for build-defining uniques or mythics. Tip 2. Prioritize capstone re-rolls over sanctification. Getting the right greater affix from your capstone is more consistent than gambling on sanctification. Spend your materials re-rolling capstones until you have the perfect greater affix on every piece of gear. Then, and only then, start thinking about sanctification. Tip 3. Farm heavenly sigils in groups. Bartok, Astaroth, and Belial are easier to farm with a party. More kills per hour means more sigil drops. If you're solo, focus on the content that has the highest sigil drop rates. Don't waste time on low-tier activities hoping for a lucky drop. Tip 4. Test your build before sanctifying. Make sure your build actually works the way you want it to before you commit to sanctification. Run some pit tiers. Test it in hordes. Make sure the damage, survivability, and playstyle all feel good. Once you sanctify, you can't make changes, so you better be sure. Tip 5. Don't be afraid to experiment with tempering. Since you can reset tempers infinitely, try different affixes and see what feels best. Maybe the affix you thought was optimal isn't actually the best for your playstyle. Experiment early when materials are cheap, not late when you're already heavily invested. Tip 6. Understand which stats benefit most from quality. Weapons with high base damage benefit massively from quality increases. Armor pieces with high base resistances also scale well. If you're choosing between two similar items, pick the one with the higher base stats because quality will multiply that advantage. What about Eternal Realm items? If you play on Eternal Realm, here's some bad news. Your existing items won't be compatible with the new system. When patch 2.5.0 drops, all your legacy items become unmodifiable. You can't temper them with the new system. You can't masterwork them with quality. You definitely can't sanctify them. Your old items will keep their current stats and upgrades, but they're frozen in the old system. This means if you want to compete on Eternal Realm after Season 11 launches, you'll need to farm new items and upgrade them through the new system. Your old builds might still work, but they'll be outclassed by new sanctified gear pretty quickly. For most players, this doesn't matter because you'll be playing Seasonal anyway, but if you're someone who's been building a character on Eternal for months, just know that your progress is about to hit a wall. You'll need to start fresh with new items if you want to keep pushing. Alright, that's everything you need to know about Season 11 itemization, tempering with no RNG, masterworking with quality and capstones, and sanctification, the ultimate high-risk, high-reward endgame system. Season 11 is giving you way more control over your items, but it's also asking you to gamble harder than ever at the final step. Get your items perfect, farm those heavenly sigils, and may RNG bless you when you hit that sanctify button. If this guide helped you understand the new system, smash that like button and subscribe for more Diablo 4 Season 11 content. What do you think about sanctification? Hype or disaster? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. Now get out there and start planning your Season 11 builds. See you in Sanctuary.